going back to law enforcement, these people can be killed every day. There are people that put themselves on the line every day. People that work in certain professions, they put themselves on the line every day. Now, I know this is particularly dealing with men, but even women are included in this. There are certain things that we do every day. Childbirth. That's if that's not a moment that people feel fearful, but they still have to. The body just says, "Oh well, it's going to happen anyway." Right. And so, these are things that men don't have the luxury to be driven and dictated and determined by emotion.
Right.
Emotion is a feeling, it's a gauge, it tells me what's going on, but my emotion cannot determine my outcome or determine my direction or determine my decision.
Right.
I have to, yes, I recognize.
Fortify your why.
I recognize I have my emotion.
Right.
But yet, even my emotion, I even have to question my emotion sometimes and see if it's genuine. And so as men, as a man, I have to understand that I have a duty and I have a responsibility.
Right. And I can hear, so I'm trying to get to our other questions, Joel, but this is like a series. It could be, but I know we can't, so we got to squeeze it in. But I hear you like screaming, or what's screaming in my head is, why is the champion? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have fear.
Right.
But your why becomes the champion because you see people prevailing
in
adversity.
Right. All the time.
Yeah, all the time. And it's not because they're not fearful. No. They're not afraid of this this assignment or the dangers or the shame or the, all the things associated with it. It's just overcoming. It's just like your why is the champion.
Right.
So can we agree to that?
Yes. There's historical stories. There are stories. There's a story of, I remember, I like watching this movie. I like watching old military movies. Hamburger Hill. There's a story. I don't think it was Hamburger Hill. There was a story where a man of valor, he won the I forgot the highest award. But he went down. Him and his company, he got shot. He went down. After he was shot, he ran down to get his partners, and he was carrying them out of the firefight.
Oh, wow.
While bullets were running, while bullets were going over his head. And so he goes back not only to get one person, but he carries 3, 4, 5 people out.
Hamburger Hill.
And so the question would be, if that in that moment was their fear present.
Oh yeah.
But what overcame I feel so good.
High five.
And that even goes to back. Okay, let's take it home to our faith.
Yeah.
Jesus was in Gethsemane.
Yeah.
Do you think that fear was present?
I know that everything was present.
It was present.
Yeah,
the Bible says it tells us that he was so in much stress and anguish that there is a medical term where he was such in distress that his pores opened so wide that the blood came through and he sweat as blood.
Yes.
But his why?
He's a champion.
His why pushed past that.
Yeah.
His why pushed past that, and so. As we understanding that aspect, as a man, I don't have the luxury. I take it personal. I don't have the luxury to allow, especially when I know it's my responsibility as a man to be a protector of my home. Right. I don't roll over and tell my wife, go check the house.
Right. Or check the bank account.
I don't have, that's what God had called me. That's my role. That's my responsibility. And it's not being machismo. Right. It's not being male chauvinist.
No, it's operating.
God has placed me in a role. It's the role that I play as a man.
Right.
It even filters into being a husband, a father, a grandfather, a serviceman, an employee.
Right.
You know, and so in every aspect of life.
All right. So before we just
did I answer your question?
You really did, and that was really good information. And I know we need to move on, but I do want to touch this because there are so many men who you talk about they're not supposed to be emotional. But the one emotion that is identified or expressed and all other emotions may hide underneath it is anger. How, I mean, I know we could spend a whole episode on that, but just briefly, as you know, pointed as you can, like how can you get dominance over anger? How do you deal with that for someone who's angry out there?
Yeah, angry. I'm gonna be very frank with you. You know, that's something that I deal with myself. Anger. I'm a very passionate. I'm a very passionate person, and anger comes in different forms, whether expressed or not expressed. You could be passive aggressive, but you could still be angry. You could be aggressive, but still be angry. Anger is just an emotion that tells us that there is a problem or dissatisfaction.
Right.
And
injustice.
And there's an injustice that has been done either to me personally, to something that I'm connected with. Anger just tells me that there's a problem, and anger is not bad. It's just how it's used can be bad.
Right.
And so because, you know, if someone was coming and invading my house, not only will I be fearful, but I could be angry too.
Right.
And
it's an injustice.
Anger actually gives me the
momentum,
it gives me the foundation to stand firm.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Like I am not moving out of my place.
Right. Yeah.
You know, anger can give me that no. Right. It's not gonna happen. Right. You're not gonna pick on my kids. Right. And we're gonna have a problem, or you're not gonna. Right. That's anger. But
protest.
Anger. Okay, I'll use that word, protest. That protest can easily turn into becoming a riot.
Oh, Pastor Honey Flakes. That's what's happening. That's a good analogy. That's perfect.
And that's the problem because
there's peaceful
protest becomes a
protest, and then there's riots.
Then there's riot, and when protest becomes a riot, that's when it gets destructive.
Good.
And so you can protest, and you can protest peacefully. Yeah. And there's a way of protest. Right. But when you start burning down stuff, right, and you start torching everything around, you're being riotous. Right. And so that's the level that's the aspect of anger that you gotta gain under control. You have to gain mastery over it. Because when it becomes riotous, it starts tearing up everything around you. And now you lose self-control.
Right. You lose dominance. That is so good, you all. I'm a therapist, and so I'm eating this up. You know, he's being such a wonderful guest today, and he's bringing light to so many things, I think, in a way that men can understand it. Because a peaceful riot is still you're angry. You know, the protest of civil rights, they were still angry about the injustices, about segregation, about disenfranchisement and, you know, oppression. They were angry. So we're not trying to alleviate anger because I'm not arrested.
Yes,
for righteousness,
and it's okay, men. You have to be angry.
Right, it's a catalyst for righteousness.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And I'll give you a lot of challenges in today's society.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought about is there not a cause? Wasn't that David?
That was David. Is there not a cause? David got upset. Who is this uncircumcised? That was anger.
Injustice and protest.
That was anger. Yeah. Right?
Protest.
That was anger and protest. But let's not get it twisted. When he stepped on the battlefield, fear was still there. But he had to trust God to take every piece of land as he moved forward.
That's so good. That's so good. I hope you all are feeling comfortable, and also women, because I am, you know, I'm softer in some ways, and the way my mom raised me is very soft in my, you know, interpersonal relationships. You know, she never told me to shut up. She never told me anything rough. So women, sometimes we expect our men to look like us. Right. But I think that what you've just explained is getting dominance in anger is learning how to manipulate, whether you're being peaceful protest or riotous. Right. And I think that a lot of times men have a right, maybe they're being disrespected at work. Maybe there's sexual abuse. Maybe there's injustice and being looked over or being mishandled and mistreated. So that does make you angry.
Right.
But it's just learning how to shift
not
between.
To go on the right.
Yeah.
And again,
So
you could still have, even martial artists. The best martial artists, the masters, are the ones that are able to control themselves.
Right.
That doesn't mean that anger is not there.
Right.
That doesn't mean frustration is not there. Right. In fact, I heard someone say that when you get in a boxing ring, the one who wins is the one that has more control.
Wow. Dominance.
The one who has the ability to have control.
The one who's
and the one that has control is able to be a tactician. He's able to outthink you. He's able to outmaneuver you while you're getting angry and while you're getting in your emotions and you're getting frustrated. The person that wins is the one that is able to out strategize you.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good. I hope you all got a better understanding that you don't have to be passive and you don't have to run from anger because like Pastor Flakes just said, it's a platform to overcome injustice.
Right.
You let that be your momentum.
It could be the fuel that actually gets you.
For change. It's the catalyst for justice.
Right.
It has to come for there to be justice.
Right.
It's the prerequisite for justice.
Right.
Because if you're not angry, you're not going to do anything about it. If you're not angry about your financial situation in your family, you're not going to do anything.
That's right.
You're not angry about how things are going in your marriage or with your children.
That's right.
You won't do anything. So anger is just protest. It's saying, I don't like this. I don't want this. And
can I say this? Isn't it interesting how you made a mention how about our economic challenge. I know a lot of people are saying a lot of things about what's going on in today's society, but we are more in the most opportunity in our society, even as a Black man. We are more in a environment where we can have more opportunity than anybody else. People don't do because they're not angry enough.
Right.
And what happens is they're riotous.
Mm-hmm.
And they're riotous in there. They'll go get a drink. They'll go smoke weed. They'll go have multiple sex partners. Or in their own homes, there's domestic violence.
Right.
But they're not controlled in that controlled anger. That would move you to go to school, go to trade school. That would move you to learn how to deal with your money and your financial. You're not angry enough. And so what happens is, people settle for what they're in because they're not angry enough, or they become so angry and become riotous where it's self-destructive,
right?
And it's destructive with the house that they're in,
right?
And so they don't maneuver, they don't nothing stops us from going to a class, reading a book, getting the information. We have social media. We can get the information is at our fingertips. We can ask people. We can reach out. My son, he reaches out to people. He asks questions. He asks for mentorship. There are people that are willing to do that, but we have individuals that are not angry enough to actually, they don't see the injustice. No, it's not good. There's
no protest within.
There's no protest. You're satisfied. You're satisfied with the amount that you have and seeing your family in that situation. You're okay with that. And you're not angry enough. And then you take a laissez-faire approach and you just take a hands off and backstep because no one is going to give you. As a man, there's nothing in the Bible where it says I have to receive by being given something all the time. I wasn't built that way.
Right. You're not a receiver. You're a giver.
I'm a giver. I'm supposed to till the ground. I'm supposed to sow the seed.
Yes.
I am a giver. I put my hand to the plow. I may bust a knuckle or two, but I am a giver. I get out there. If it doesn't happen, I have to make it happen. With the help of God, I get out there and do something about it.
Make it happen. You produce.
I'm a producer.
That's so good. This is so good. I'm trying to contain myself. No, this is a really good conversation. So when you think about a husband, like how would a husband have dominion as a husband? Because it's challenging in our population, our demographic.
Right.
Our marital rates are low. And then when it comes
Right.
to divorce, they're higher. So
Right.
there is a lack of marriage and there is a lack of, foundational teaching on
Right.
how to be, how to have dominion as a husband.
Well, here, I really want to dispel a fallacy and a myth. One of the greatest things a man could become is a husband.
Oh, wow. That's what God said.
I didn't say that. God said it.
Right.
One of the and that's a myth for people to say, marriage, there's nothing to marriage, or even this
Say so.
this crazy
Pastor.
idea of man being married to a man and woman being married. The greatest thing a man could be is a husband.
Wow. Wow.
That's one of the greatest things a man can be, when he finds a woman that finds a helpmeet that he can become one with. That's one of the greatest things that God, because that was always in the idea of God.
Right.
That
Right.
to be fruitful and multiply. I can't, a man that has, and I'm not, no shade, but a man that cannot settle himself,
Okay. Have dominance and settling.
cannot settle himself,
Right.
and establish a union with a woman and build from that, that's problematic. That's why we have a society that is so disjointed, because some men cannot settle themselves. They have a multiplicity of homes. They have a multiplicity of villages, but they don't have homes.
Wow.
And so you have all these villages, but you don't have homes.
Wow.
And the greatest thing is a man that is able to create a home.
Yes.
That is the most, that's the most powerful thing a man can do, is create a home.
Right.
And so the greatest thing as when the aspect of a husband is that one that's ordained by God.
Right.
That's ordained by God. And now, how do you dominate? Well, you dominate by sharing, and you create together. In that domination, I'm not dominating my wife.
Right.
What I'm doing is I actually set the foundation for us to build from.
Right.
So a man is the one that breaks up the ground. Going back to the high rise. A high rise can't be a high rise unless the foundation, as high as it goes in the air at 7, 8 stories high, it goes 5 stories low.
Right.
And the foundation
has to be
is
deep.
solid.
Solid and deep.
It's solid.
Yeah.
So if the as high as you go, the most important part is how deep you dig into the ground and how settled you are.
That's good.
That's the strength of the tower.
Right.
The strength of the tower is not as it goes up. The strength of the tower is what the base is.
Yes.
And so now, when we talk about domination in a home, it's what we as a husband and wife set and what we establish, and as we move forward. Really, I want to go back to systems, because a home is creating a system, a system that is diametrically. I know right now where we're in, the Bible says all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And so now it's an issue of battle of light and darkness.
Right.
And so now, me as a believer, me as a husband that believes in God, my wife believes in God, I create a system that has to be built on a rock that can oppose the system that is outside my house.
Absolutely.
So what I establish is that we create together, and we establish something that is sound, a foundational sound principle, a sound lifestyle, a sound system, that when my children comes home, when my wife come home, when I come home, it is so solid, that it's so dominating, it is so powerful that whatever's going outside can't infiltrate what I got inside.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
So the aspect is that I am not, as a husband, I'm not dominating by myself. I'm creating a system that dominates.
That's good.
I'm creating a
Yeah.
system that dominates.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says the two shall become one.
Right.
So it's not meant for me to be domineering over my wife. I don't,
Right.
that the Bible, even though the Bible does say that she called Abraham Lord. The reason why she called Abraham Lord is because he was able to set a foundation
Right.
that she can build on.
Right.
And that she had no problem calling
Right.
him Lord.
Right.
Because their foundation was built upon the God that would visit them. The same God that said, in 9 months, when I come back, you're gonna have a baby. And she laughed.
That's good.
But he was a friend of God.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they created this system.
Mm-hmm.
That they were both dominant in. They created this house that Isaac can come behind, and now he could build upon.
Right.
And then Isaac creates Jacob, and Jacob, even though he went away, he came back to the system that was established by his father and his grandfather.
Wow.
And so, as a husband, I don't dominate. I'm in a shared process of creating a system that dominates.
Right. And so what are some of the challenges that you have to overcome that come against your ability to do these things?
Selfishness.
Yeah.
Selfishness. Because within a marriage, and I think that's some of the things that we don't recognize. These are two individual people. And these two individual people are coming together under one roof, trying to establish this system.
Right.
A system. And what system? We're talking about the kingdom of heaven system, the God system.
Right.
That's the thing. So you have these two individuals, and I want to put some caveat on it. Because these two individual people, that's where we first have to start. Because if these two individual people, if they were single, truly single, when I mean truly
operating like how you said before,
if they were operating
dominating as single people,
dominating,
right,
making sure that they have themselves in check.
Right.
Now, singleness doesn't mean all inclusive. Singleness also addresses the fact that I recognize that God is in ultimate control.
Right.